Alexander Dow, EA's advertising and sponsorship vice president, told the game business that studios should consider ads during development. Instead of slapping a sticker onto a finished product, EA wants ads baked into the game's DNA. He called the opportunity huge and pointed towards sports games, skate, and other free-to-play console experiences. Importantly, EA did not announce forced video ads inside every paid release. Nothing in the verified comments proves that players will defeat a boss and immediately watch an unskippable insurance commercial. Yet the real danger is not always the ad you can see. More quietly, it is the design choice you may never know was bought and paid for. Soon, we will show how that influence can happen without a single pop-up appearing. EA also launched e-advertising in June with brand partnerships, gameplay integrations, changing sports ads targeting, measurement, and a sports partner program. Together, those features describe more than one experimental billboard beside a football field. Targeting helps advertisers choose which audience receives a campaign. Measurement tells them whether players had a real chance to notice it. Dynamic technology lets brands change placements after launch rather than leaving one image forever. Standardization makes the process easier to sell, repeat, and copy across titles. It sounds like a cold, clinical system, and to a developer's spreadsheet, it is. However, understanding why a company risks player trust requires looking at modern development costs. Behind every free download sits a payroll, a server bill, a content schedule, and an audience expecting the game to stay alive. Free-to-play games do not stop costing money simply because the download button says 0. Servers need maintenance, updates need staff, cheaters need moderation, and events need content. Licensed sports releases also demand current teams, polished broadcasts, yearly improvements, and constant support. Advertising can create income without charging every player for another skin or raising the entry price. Occasionally, branded content can give players something useful without asking them to pay. Dow's example was the Sims collaboration with Coach. During that campaign, branded items were free, and EA said players and creators responded positively. Fairly judged that promotion was not automatically harmful. Players received items, the brand gained attention, and the game received content. Compared with a premium bundle, free branded cosmetics may be the less hostile option. Economically, the argument is easy to understand. One successful campaign can fund updates without asking every user to pay again. Artistically, the cost is harder to see because lost freedom never appears neatly in quarterly reports. Management can count impressions, sponsor revenue, and engagement. Nobody can easily count ideas changed or abandoned before the public saw them. Developers may accept a partnership that pays for extra work. Alternatively, they may reshape existing work because a partner wants more visibility. Both outcomes look similar in presentations even though one supports creativity and the other directs it. This distinction should guide viewers judging EA's plan. There, the economic case stops being simple because revenue can support creativity while also gaining leverage over it. Crucially, one friendly campaign teaches publishers a much larger lesson. Games can operate as advertising platforms even when players do not feel interrupted. Here, the word native becomes important. When companies call advertising native, they mean it blends into the experience. A stadium board in Madden looks ordinary because real sports already contain sponsors. Branded shoes in skate may seem natural because skating culture already includes clothing, boards, and energy drinks. Fashion partnerships in The Sims can seem believable because lifestyle products belong in that world. Racing games can use track signs. Open worlds can use storefronts, phones, vehicles, food, and clothing. Social games can use sponsored events, rewards, and limited time challenges. Before long, almost every genre has a reason why advertising supposedly belongs. Critically, not every one of those examples is terrible. Another problem is that, what fits the world, can stretch until it means almost anything. Corporate language makes that expansion sound harmless because nothing interrupts play. Creative influence can still happen without a pop-up. Designers may reserve important surfaces for sponsor visibility. Artists may be told not to hide branded objects with effects or scenery. Mission teams may build challenges around promotions. Reward systems may include sponsored items because marketing needs numbers. Writers may avoid ideas that conflict with a major partner. In other words, the ad need not cover your screen to change what you play. Brand influence only needs to be in the room when the game is written. Once ad revenue enters development, the money plan sits beside the creative plan. Fundamentally, that is the real conflict. Studios need income, but games lose value when commercial requirements shape what players see and do. These titles are the safest testing ground because advertising already belongs to their visual language. Real stadiums contain boards, logos, sponsored replays, score graphics, and corporate names everywhere. Consequently, players accept commercial noise that would feel ridiculous in other genres. Using that acceptance, EA can learn which placements work and what advertisers will pay. At first, the result may be nothing more than a believable sign near the field. Eventually, the same tools can support branded challenges, rewards, overlays, events, and rotating campaigns. Gradually, sports games become the easy doorway into a much larger advertising system. Remember the sequence: normal billboard, measured placement, sponsored challenge, then a system asking where the next campaign fits. Skate presents another useful test case. Street culture already includes brands, fashion, music, shoes, boards, and sponsorships. Naturally, EA can argue that commercial products make the world feel authentic. Nevertheless, authenticity can become cover for monetization. Even a fitting branded shoe can serve two masters when a challenge promotes it. Skaters want an enjoyable objective. Advertisers want attention, completion rates, and proof that the campaign worked. Development teams then have to satisfy both. Sometimes those goals will align. Otherwise, marketing may win because money has already been promised. Furthermore, Dow said EA could remove advertising that failed and try something different. On paper, that flexibility sounds responsible. Practically, players may become the unpaid testing group that discovers where the line sits. Typically, a campaign appears, complaints spread, EA measures reactions, and the placement disappears afterward. Companies often describe that process as listening. Customers experience it as stepping on the rake before the company moves it. Listening after backlash beats ignoring it, but players should not become the safety test for every new monetization experiment. Beyond EA, the wider industry angle makes this more important than one experiment. Currently, EA is working with industry groups on standards for visibility, reporting, and in-game assets. Common systems reduce uncertainty for brands. Sponsors prefer familiar reports and repeatable formats over custom deals built from nothing. Likewise, publishers prefer reusable tools across games. After the system becomes easy, the internal question changes. Executives stop asking whether advertising belongs and ask why unused spaces generate nothing. Thus, isolated experiments become normal business practice. Large publishers copy profitable systems quickly when shareholders see money left behind. With its audience, licenses, technology, partners, and tools, EA can make this model look legitimate. If the plan succeeds, competitors will not need to invent the system themselves. Competitors can copy the standards, sell similar placements, and cite EA as proof of acceptance. Effectively, EA is not only opening the door. Essentially, it is selling the doorframe. Still, the premium game question requires a harder line. Take-Two chief executive Strauss Zelnick said interrupting ads inside a game costing $70 or $80 were difficult to justify. His argument matters because it separates free access from premium ownership. Funding a free game partly through advertising creates one debate. Selling a full-price title with passes, cosmetics, downloadable content, currency, and brand campaigns creates another. Buyers already face enough toll booths after paying admission. Adding aggressive advertising risks turning the product into a mall with boss fights. Background signs inside realistic sports settings are easier to defend. Unskippable videos, forced branded missions, or sponsor-linked progression would cross a clearer line. Optional cosmetic partnerships sit somewhere in the middle. Such deals may offer value, but they train publishers to sell player attention. Honestly, that trade should be stated clearly. Because the item is free, the player is not the only customer. Simultaneously, the advertiser is purchasing access to the audience. Transparency therefore matters as much as placement. Audiences should know when a challenge, reward, event, or item was funded by a brand. Clear labels protect trust better than pretending commercial content appeared through pure inspiration. Limits matter too. Commercial deals should never dictate progression, reduce rewards, interrupt paid gameplay, or replace ordinary content. Premium games deserve stricter rules than free-to-play titles. Younger players also require stronger protection from targeting and disguised persuasion. Above all, development teams must be able to reject harmful partnerships. Without those boundaries, corporate survival becomes an excuse that can justify every intrusion. Under those boundaries, some advertising can support a game without controlling it. Accordingly, the final verdict is not that every in-game ad is evil. Reasonable sponsorship can fit sports free-to-play titles, and optional cosmetics when it stays clear, limited, and non-disruptive. Danger begins when EA's early advertising plans start shaping levels, reward stories, or player behavior. Notably, the company has not announced mandatory video ads across every release. Rather, EA is building tools, standards, partnerships, and measurement systems that make advertising easier to place. Potentially, that infrastructure may help fund expensive games. Equally, it may encourage publishers to design around advertisers because commercial space becomes part of the business model. Therefore, the fight is not really about one soda sign in one stadium. Ultimately, the fight concerns who controls design, people improving the game or people selling the players' attention.